Hello, this video is on basic recording reports and brought to you by Nelson Systems Incorporated. I will be using an Eventide Nextlog DX model recorder with software version 2024.3. Once logged into Configuration Manager, go to the Basic Reports, Recording Reports section. These are reports that are built in to the system. We'll go through those one at a time. The first one is call count by metadata field, and this will graph the number of calls grouped by a user specified field for a given month. So we will highlight that one, click Run Report, and then we can set what month we want to run the report for and what metadata field we want to use. Caller ID is a common one. You want to see how often certain phone numbers are calling. You can also select call type. So if you are getting some Annie information for your 911 calls, you could see how many of each type you're getting for that month. So we are going to go ahead and just leave that set to June and choose call type and then run the report. So now once the report is finished, we see that we have calls with the call type radio group, radio patch, radio private, cell phone, text, phone, radio emergency group, and so on. So if you did have different call types there for your 911, you may have wireless, wireless phase 2, residential, business, and so on. When you're finished with the report, click close, and then again you can choose any of the metadata fields in our database to run this report again. So again, caller ID is a common one, and you'll always get the top 50. So if you have more than 50 values in that field, you're only going to see the top 50. So as we scroll our mouse over the different phone numbers, we can see how many times they have called in that month. Alright, we'll click cancel to go back to our list. The next one is month at a glance. That will display call statistics for a given month. So we'll go ahead and run that report. And then you select the month and year, and then which channels you want to see in that report. So we're just going to go ahead and leave everything selected and run the report. The first section shows us the call count by channel. So it's going to show you each channel that had recordings for the month and the number of recordings on that channel. The next section is call count per day. So it's going to show you the day of the month and how many recordings you had on that day. The next section is call count by hour of day. It's going to be the cumulative number of recordings for the time frame selected, the month selected, and then the total number of recordings during that hour. So you can see over a month when your busy times are. And then the last section is the total amount of time recorded by day. So it's going to show you your number of minutes recorded each day. The next report is your duration outliers, and that's going to display info on exceptionally long and short calls. Select your date range, the channels you want, and then the thresholds that you want to see. So you want to see whatever calls are less than X amount of seconds or greater than X amount of seconds. So I don't know what we have on this demo system. Let's just try anything longer than or shorter than 30 seconds and anything longer than let's say 3 minutes. Run our report. Alright, so then you can see calls shorter than 30 seconds by channel. So it's going to show you each channel and how many recordings were shorter than 30 seconds. And then if there's any calls longer than 180 seconds, it's going to show you the number of those per channel. And then the average duration of recordings per channel. The next one is day at a glance, and that will display call statistics for a given day. Select our date, we'll pick on yesterday, so we have a full day worth of information, and select all of our channels and run the report. The first section shows you your call count by channel. So as you float your mouse over the graph for each channel, it'll show you how many recordings you had on that day. And then the next section is the call count by hour. So that's your total number of recordings per hour of that day. The next one, total calls over time, graphs total call count in recorder database each day. So we'll go ahead and we'll select a few days here and run the report, and you can see the total number of recordings in the database each day. And then also the amount of audio data on your hard drive in kilobytes. That is helpful if you're wanting to size your archive device. You can select a couple months with this report, see how much kilobytes has been used during those couple months, and then plan your archiving. If you want to keep 5 years, then you'll need to do the math. You know, if you're doing 2 months, take that times 6 to have your year, and then times 5 for your 5-year retention, or whatever you'd like your retention to be. So that could be one reason for using this report. Unarchived call report is going to graph information about unarchived call data each day. If you are archiving on your system, you should have very little as far as unarchived. The system is archiving continuously as calls are in progress most times, so there should be very few unarchived calls. And if you're not archiving, then it's going to let you know, how much is unarchived. So in this case, unarchived records in our database, you can go over the different days and see how many unarchived calls. So as of right now, there's only 4 that are unarchived, and we have 65 kilobytes of data unarchived. And the archive pointer lags real time by hours, so it's 0. So the archive pointer is up to real time. And data archived each day, so how much in space each day has been archived. And then as of each date, what the last archived call was. Configuration report, that is a nice way to get a copy of your current system configuration. Quite a bit of information in here. This is one report that we run for our customers and keep a copy in their customer folder. For some reason this demo system is having issues running this report, but again, it's a nice way to get a hard copy of a lot of your channel settings, system settings, users that are in the system, resource groups, and so on. Channel activity, it's going to list all the recordings that occur on one or more given channels during a given day range. So we'll select our date range. We're just going to pick today, select our channel range, our channels, and then run the report. And we get a list of every recording on the selected channels for the dates. At the end of each channel section, we'll give you a total for that channel. So if we keep scrolling down here find the end of channel 3. Alright, so now you can see here, you get the total number of recordings for that channel, total duration, and average duration. Channel usage summary displays the load over time on a set of channels during a given day range. This is helpful if you have dispatch positions and you want to see how often they're all on a phone call at the same time. You could select that group of channels, or those console channels, position channels, whatever you like to call them, and a date range for that. I don't know if we'll be able to do that very well on this demo system, but we will give it a try. So in this, you would see this graph going up and down, showing you how often different percentage of those selected channels were in use. And then in the chart above, it will give you each individual day for the range you've selected, then the total number of times that all of these selected channels were active, the total time that all channels were active, and the average duration that all channels were active. So again, this is a demo system and it has calls recording pretty much non-stop, so they were always at 100%. Call access, that is going to give you a report of all the recordings that have been accessed on the recorder in the date range you've selected. So we'll select a few days here, and we can see now the channel name, start date and time of the recording, duration of the recording, which user accessed that recording, and what that access was, be it playback, export, create CD if it was exporting to .iso or CD format. So you'll see different options there, or different items there in the action section, and then the date and time that they performed the access. System report, that is another report that gives you information about your system. It's a good one just to keep a copy of. And this is more hardware based, networking based as far as the information, compared to the configuration report, which is a lot more of the system settings. This is more to do with the hardware side of things. So we'll have the general information about the recorder at the top, the information about your storage device, the RAID, your partitions, the individual disk in the RAID, any network cards that are in the system, the different recording boards that are set up in the system, if there's a front panel, and then time servers, other archive devices, license keys are in here, as well as any of the past alerts that have gone off on the system. Alright, the last one is the template changes report. This will be more for a technician that is working on any of the IP templates. When they run this report, they can pick which template they want to see the recent changes for. Alright, so here you can see that the board inactivity timeout was changed from 7200 seconds to 0 seconds. So again, any individual changes to the board or channels after the template was last applied will show up in this list. This is helpful for if a technician needs to make an update to a template. They can run this report first, see what has all been changed on that template after it was initially set up. That way when they make any changes to the template, that will update some of the channel settings and return those to defaults. So then you can use this report to see what had been changed and make any updates to that template you need to. Alright, and that is all for the recording reports, the basic reports in the Eventide Nextlog DX series system. And this concludes the video. Thank you for watching.